Hey guys, it's Danny. Today, a rarity here on my channel, we are going to talk about Phalaenopsis orchids. And not only that, we are going to admire their blooms because they're almost kind of in full bloom. Now, on my channel, I typically don't make a lot of videos with a main focus on this orchid rebloomed or look at the pretty blooms or things of the sort. I do have one video per month that deals with that, and you guys know it. It's the Orchids in Bloom series, which, by the way, I put into a playlist. I listened to Jack's advice, so check it down below. With this occasion, I realized this series has been going on for 4 years. I started it in June in 2015. Time flies, right? So that is the series that is meant to just look at the flowers and be inspired for wish lists. But other than that, I really don't film these orchids in bloom whenever they bloom because I don't know what to say about them. I make a care tutorial or care tips, an orchid ID maybe, an update, and then when it reblooms again, it's kind of hard for me to say anything other than, yes, it rebloomed, it's pretty, look how pretty it is, and you have links down below, and well, that's about it, I guess. Time to end the video. You know what I'm saying? I don't do 2-minute videos. So that's why I don't film them. I'd rather focus on things that I find more interesting. But today, I do want to film the Phalaenopsis, look at them, talk a little bit about them, you know, not only make it about the flowers, because I put up with their size and their care and their demands for an entire year that I do want to make the best out of their blooming period. So with that very long intro said, let's get on with the video. Today will be a long one. Get a beverage, a snack. It's gonna be one that shall last us through the weekend. Alright, so I will take them down and give you a close-up, not necessarily with each one individually, but I shall take this opportunity to dust the shelf as well, make it practical in this regard as well. So the beautiful orchid you see in front of you is the Phalaenopsis Piketty. Now, not all of these orchids have IDs. They're mostly flower shop phals, no IDs. But if you guys have any ID for the ones that I don't have a tag for, of course, feel free to leave me a comment down below. This Phalaenopsis is one that I wanted for a very long time because of the Piketty edging. Usually, the phals which have the name Piketty refer to these brush strokes edges that you can see on the flower. And in this instance, the orchid is a beautiful yellow gold color and the brush strokes appear to be red. Well, in reality, they're actually purple, and as the flower ages and the color disappears, it becomes paler and paler, the edges will start to become pink or purple as well, which is such a disappointing thing for me. It goes from, ooh, so pretty to, ooh, the color scheme that I don't really like. But for a few weeks, I can enjoy the beautiful coloration. I think we can already see how the newest flower is quite a lot more intense than the older one, and soon enough this vividness will disappear, but it's okay. I still really enjoy this orchid. This is one of those that I forgot in semi-hydro. I need to switch her. At some point I got a little bit sick of just potting Phalaenopsis. My phals actually went through a period of drought last year, so they suffered a little bit. And this one was just forgotten in semi-hydro, and I decided not to hassle with it last year. I'm gonna repot it this spring, but I do believe it is the only phal that I still have in semi-hydro. All of the others are in self-watering and leca now. And speaking about Piketty Phalaenopsis, here is the Phalaenopsis Pirate Piketty in dual form. This is the standard form, and this is the peloric form. I really wanted to film this orchid, or both of these orchids, last year and show you the same variety in both peloric and non-peloric form, but I broke the spike of this one, and I was kind of sad, but here we are. This year I can actually show you both of them. So again, as you can see, we have this brush stroke edging to the flower. Maybe it's not as intense on this one as it is on the other one, but it's still there, hence the Piketty name. And as you can see, the standard version has a normal Phalaenopsis shape, normal Phalaenopsis patterning, but my favorite is actually the peloric version. Just look at that. Immediately it looks a little bit more colorful because the petals are trying to imitate even the yellow that you see in the lip here. Now, for those of you who are new to my channel, maybe you don't know what peloria is. I'll link you down below to a video where I explain everything. I'm not going to insist on it now. Pretty much any orchid can have a peloric version of itself, let's say. And there are multiple types of peloria. This is my favorite one, in which the petals are not slanted forward, but rather open, just like like normal petals, but they still try to take the shape and the patterning of the lip. So here are my two big girls. They are actually pretty large orchids. They put out roots everywhere, but I do really like these two. You will see that some of these Phalaenopsis I will not keep, so they will go into the giveaway. These will not. I really love the Piketty ones, and I like how I can have both of these versions. They look really cute next to each other. Next up, we have another big girl. Can you guess who she is? Yes, this is the Phalaenopsis Single that I got last year. If you don't know about the Single, again, check down below the description. I will actually add quite a few links to videos that pertain to these orchids. And with the Single, we do have quite the story. And there she is. She is bouncing back, I have to say. I'll show you the orchid. And the flowers are just immense. Now, I think she will produce 5 flowers only, but I'm hoping in the following years she will do a lot better. As for the orchid, remember I told you that I want to try and get rid of that hormone that they use to maintain her tiny. Well, I decided to first let her be, see what she decides to do. And after a few leaves, which were super tiny, I have one that is starting to look a little bit more normal. So for those of you who don't know the story, the Single is actually hormonally tampered with to remain very compact and small, although this is a very big orchid. It has nothing to do with setback, nothing to do with lack of roots, hydration, all of those fun stuff. It has to do strictly with some substances that make her small. But I think the hormones are starting to wear off on their own, so that's why I let her be. I didn't dose the gibberellic acid. I wanted to see how long she would continue these very tiny leaves, but there we have it. I think she's starting to become normal, and we'll see in the future what happens. But as far as the flowers are concerned, oh yeah, she's a big flowered Phalaenopsis orchid. And it's one of those that I had in the past. I'm not sure if it's the same variety, but the same concept, let's say. I had her in the past, I loved it, I wanted it again, and I thought the Single is either the Sogo-Euclidean, either another hybrid with huge flowers. And I was right. Next up, two orchids that have sentimental value for me. First of all, the Phalaenopsis Minimark, which is one of the most recognizable Phalaenopsis orchids, I think. He is opening his beautiful flowers. I received it from my mom 2.5 years ago after the Fusarium outbreak. Bad times for me. And as you can see, I lost some buds. What happened here? Well, I discovered that I missed watering it. And these orchids during winter went without water for 2 weeks or so. And at some point I saw that the buds were starting to fall and the orchid was becoming limpy. What is going on? Because I have roots. Well, I didn't water it for a month or so, and I just didn't realize it. But I think she's gonna be okay now. However, there we have it. Don't forget to water your Phalaenopsis orchids, particularly when they have buds. And the one next to it is one that I have a video on. I used to call her Chianti Balm, something of the sorts, but now I'm doubting my initial ID. I'll put the name that I found somewhere on the screen. She's a little bit of a fragrant orchid, smells a little bit like watermelon, I think. And this is the orchid that my boyfriend and I first filmed together with not the camera that I'm using now, the older camera. I'll link you to the video down below. And I left this orchid for a year in the care of my boyfriend. And well, he did his best. Let's put it like that. The orchid was still alive when I got here, but she wasn't the happiest. Anyway, she's absolutely healthy now. I really like the little flowers. But yeah, what about that ID? I'm not entirely sure, but these two orchids definitely have a very special place in my heart and I could never give them up. Bonus, they're not very big orchids, so they don't take up a lot of space. Next up, here's a Frankenopsis rather than a Phalaenopsis. Get it? Frankenstein. This is the Phalaenopsis that we treated with cakey grow paste, and we did so in the flower spike season in autumn. And behold, we got no cakey, but a whole lot of other flower spikes. So, note to you guys, if you want to promote some more flower spikes, you can definitely use the cakey paste. In the spiking season at least, we're gonna try the cakey paste again this season when they're starting to grow vegetatively. But yeah, here she is. I don't like this display. All of these spikes are just, they don't have any shape to them. So yeah, I let her be because she has beautiful flowers. but I will cut them pretty soon from the base and let this orchid just focus on important growth, not flowers. What is this? Next up, here's an orchid that I actually saved. It was on clearance. I paid, I think, €3 for it. It didn't look so good. It only had one remaining wilting flower, and I knew she was something really pretty. This is the Phalaenopsis Asian Dragon, and in the past I called her Asia Dragon for whatever reason. Don't ask me why. Sometimes I do things and I don't understand them myself. But anyway, here she is again. She's blooming, but this is one of those, let's say, patterns or colors that I actually like. I like the dottiness, the burgundy color. It's not purple, it's not pink. It's something a little bit more interesting for me. The flower spike is a little crowded, as you can see. I actually have 2 spikes, but that's okay. She's gonna look better in years to come. But if you remember this one from back then, it's not Asia Dragon, it's Asian Dragon. So change your tag, please. Next up, 2 really pretty big-lipped Phalaenopsis. Oh my goodness, you guys. I love big lip phals. I really do. This is what I want to see next on Phalaenopsis hybrids. So these are 2 orchids that skipped blooming last year. I think it was a light related issue, but anyway, they're blooming now. And as I told you, I kind of slacked a little bit with tags. I didn't put tags. I didn't know what orchid was what. And a while back, I showed you my terminal spike Phalaenopsis with the keiki that has a terminal spike. And I was afraid that it was one of these. I really wanted to still have these orchids, and behold, it's not one of these. But I don't know what the terminal spike one is. She still has buds. We're gonna find out soon, hopefully not something good. But yeah, if I remember correctly, I do have an ID for this one. I think this is my favorite. She has a really large flower. Can you see? It's just wonderful. I don't remember the name right now, but I know I identified it. I know how to find it. You're gonna have the name on the screen. The one below it, I think I saw it somewhere as well, but again, I didn't take notes of the ID. I should really be more consistent with that, but you know, it's Phalaenopsis. If I have the option to go make myself a coffee or make a tag for a Phalaenopsis, most cases I'll go make a coffee, but no more. I need to be more consistent. Oh boy, these orchids are actually very heavy. I just watered them. So if I seem a little out of breath, well, that's because I am. So next up, one of the most popular Phalaenopsis hybrids, it's the beautiful Leo Door, full name on the screen right now. This is a sequential bloomer, and not only it is a very fragrant orchid because one of her parents is the Violacea. She inherited quite a lot from the Violacea, starting with a little bit of coloring to the beautiful fragrance, which some people don't like, to the fact that she's a sequential bloomer. Do you see how many flower spikes I have? Well, they're not all produced this year. Every year this orchid produces a new flower spike for me, which is the one here. It still has buds. This is the one from last year, which produced some secondary shoots actually this year. These ones are the ones from about 3 years ago already. I think one is 2 years or 3 years old and the other one another year older. The more years pass, the more flower spikes and flowers she will produce. Each flower spike can definitely branch out, but being that she's so close to a species, she does not produce a lot of flowers at once. You can see on these flower spikes, I have one and another bud just forming. On these ones, I have a few more buds. So at one time, you can have between 1 to 3 or 4 flowers maximum. The strong point of this orchid is actually the fragrance for me, but also the show it can put on in years. Next up, we have 2 crowd favorites. Yes, 2 orange Phalaenopsis. This is the Goldstaff. The full name, you'll have it on the screen. And this is what I believe to be Sarah, or actually brother Sarah Gold, but it could also be something else, which I'm missing the name right now. For now, I'm gonna stick to my ID and I'll look into it a little later. Let's start with this one. This is a beautiful small flowered Phalaenopsis that produces incredibly vivid flowers. You can see we have some veining here, which because of the background take a red-orange color. In reality, they're purple. Bonus, she's a little fragrant as well, but it's really not my cup of tea. It's that very dusty citrus lemony type of fragrance, which some people like. I'm not crazy about it, I have to say, but I do really like the display and of course the colors. And this one is a really round looking Phalaenopsis. It looks a little bit like a Vanda, like the Pacharas, doesn't it? Well, she's not a hybrid with any of those. She is actually a Phalaenopsis. And again, the color is one of those that I really like. A rusty orange with a bit of yellow to the edges. It's a sort of mix. She has a dotted pattern that is very, very subtle. Now that I put these two orchids side by side, they look quite similar, don't they? Color-wise, not shape-wise. Anyway, I love them both, and even though they're big girls, they're not going anywhere. Alright, next up, do you guys remember that I purchased a Phalaenopsis which had half a flower looking in a way and half a different way? Well, this is her, and she looks a little bit more normal this time, although there is still something going on here. We still have a little bit of a reminiscent Peloria, I guess. I don't even know why this has this shape, but this time it really doesn't look like she used to. However, all is not lost, because on this side we do have a flower that has two sides looking very different. This one looking quite veiny, quite pale pink, and this one which is dotted. Bonus, she's a Piketty, so I really like this one, even though the color scheme really not my thing. This is my least favorite color scheme actually, but I really like the weirdness of the flowers. Alright, so here we have two phals that look almost identical. This one, you might not remember who she is. She used to be blue. We colored her as part of an experiment. Check the video down below. She's not blue anymore. The orchid is fine. And the one next to it is one that Jessica actually sent this winter. And they do look very, very similar. So I don't want to keep both of them. I want to keep Jessica's orchid. Maybe she wants it back one day, but also it has more sentimental value than this one. So this one will pack her bags and find a new home with one of you guys who will give her the love she deserves. And I will keep this one. But there we have them. I really like white Phalaenopsis, but I already have quite a few of them, and certainly I don't want to keep doubles or things that look very similar because they just take up too much space. Next up, here we have two more orchids that will find their way to you guys. This is what I believe to be the Timothy Christopher. It is a white Phalaenopsis, and I already have a lot of white phals, as you will see further. The thing with this one though is that it creates smaller flowers, but in great numbers. It can actually create quite a lot of flowers, and it's not a very big orchid. And this time she made two flower spikes, so that's great, but again, taking up too much space. And this one is a pink one, which you might guess. I'm not crazy about the color, but I have to say she is really pretty. She always bloomed really nice every single year. It's one of those IKEA ones, I believe, that I got without flowers. So this is among the last times we're gonna see these orchids on my channel, but I know they will find a great home with one of you guys. Two more Phalaenopsis that will make their way to you guys are these two. This is my slightly, sometimes peloric type of Harlequin. Can we see that we produced a normal flower? Yeah, okay. I don't like these types of surprises. So as the song says, thank you, next. And this one is the wild peach one. I have to say I didn't treat this one properly. I think she was under the bench. Well, not really. In a place in my shelf where she didn't really receive a lot of light because I didn't have my shelf created with light. So as you will see, she's not doing the most splendid out of everything. We have a tiny leaf here, but she does have a lot of roots that she grew. She is pretty well established, so she will be okay. But again, the flowers are not my speed. I'm sure some of you guys really like it, so why not? Both of these orchids will go in the giveaway. One that I will actually keep, and she's not in bloom just yet, is the Malibu Madonna. She has this really nice lavender type of pink, but also a pretty white lip, kind of. I don't want to mess up the flowers. This is one that I really like, even though, yes, she has that pinky color, but I like contrast. And when I see the light colored lip on that background, oh, it's just beautiful. So she will put on a great show, this one. Do you remember how twisted the flower spike was last year? I did such a poor job on it. I'll try to find a thumbnail or something to show you. But yeah, the flower spike was just contorted, and this year I wanted to shape it nicely, and I think I did do a great job with this one. Cannot wait to see it in bloom. Now here are two white Phalaenopsis that I love, absolutely love. You see why I say I have too many white Phalaenopsis? I'd rather keep the ones that I love. So this is one from Jessica, and it has a tag. It is the Phalaenopsis Hampshire Snowbird Amber. It is the Philippinense crossed with Little Birdie. You have the name on the screen. And do we notice? Yes, she is white, but the lip is completely golden and the effect is absolutely wonderful. I'm just a sucker for contrast. I said this a million times and I will continue to say it, don't worry. And this little white jewel here is the variegated Phalaenopsis amabilis, which is a seedling, but you can see we already have some blooms. These two, no, I'm not gonna part ways with them unless Jessica wants this one back. But oh my goodness. With this one, which has the most gorgeous foliage ever, I am seriously thinking to switch the setup, put her in a transparent pot for one reason only. She produces super hot pink roots. I'm not joking. I will try to find the video, show you down below. The roots can have variegation kind of as well. And even though the tips are pure typical brownie color, well, some of the tips are just the most vivid magenta color you've ever seen. It's beautiful, but we cannot see them because the pot is not transparent. So for that alone, for having those roots visible, I'm thinking to switch her setup to a transparent pot. Because yeah, I want to enjoy them. So you can imagine this orchid is not going anywhere, and I'd rather give away other white Phalaenopsis than these two. And we're kind of almost at the end with this video because I do have some files which didn't open just yet, so there's really nothing to see. But I do think I have another one to show you. Here we have her. This is the brown-orange orchid that I got earlier this year. I didn't even repot this orchid. At some point I got so fed up with repotting that I was like, pause. I don't want to do this anymore. And it wasn't a great idea for some of these orchids because the medium is just so broken down. I can already see the roots are suffering. So yeah, I will invent some time one day and repot her because I really like this orchid. Yeah, it's nothing much just yet, but that color, does it look right to you? Does this brownness look very appealing to you? It does not look that good to me. And of course, it smells horrible. So that's about it for the little Phalaenopsis. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Hope you have a great weekend. A little reminder, on Monday, it's the 1st of April. It's April Fool's. So prepare yourself for some mischief here on the internet. Don't forget, because if you do, you might actually have a horrible time on the internet on Monday. And you know me, every year I do a special video for April Fools, and please just read the titles, please. I feel so bad afterwards when people are saying, oh, how could you? It's just a joke. I really enjoy making these videos, so I'm warning you in advance. Monday's video will be an April Fool's video. So with that said, thank you so much for watching once again. You know the drill. Like or dislike this video below. Subscribe to my channel for regular orchid videos, tutorials, and everything orchid related. And if you really enjoy my channel and my videos, do consider checking out the merch store down below. It really helps a lot. And thank you so much in advance. I'll see you on Monday for April Fools. Bye.